Welcome back to the Dobfather Part 2. See what I did there? In Part 1, we introduced you to our new club for our FM23 save, and we had a look at the tactic that we're going to be playing. Well, today, it's all about introducing you to the squad as we play our first pre-season friendly of... Hold on a second. What? What's with the, Nom, how many times do we have to go over this? We're not allowed to see the players' attributes. We're not allowed to see the players. See what I'm working with here? Now, the conventional wisdom is that Football Manager YouTube series are getting shorter and shorter. You're meant to try and get through a season in 3 episodes in order to keep the viewers' attention. This is part 2. We're going to be playing our first pre-season friendly. We do it at a slower pace on this channel. It matches the person that's running it. Today, we're going to introduce you to our squad. We've played our first fixture where we took on our under-19s, but because we're not allowed to see the players' attributes, there's been a lot of guesswork involved in selecting our starting 11. So we're getting you involved today. We're going to bring you our first pre-season game where we're taking on a team from the top flight, so we can really test out exactly how good these players are, and you are going to be in charge of trying to report back on anything you spot during today's game. But before we get out there and take on Goretzka, let's introduce you to the squad. So here are the players in question, and separating the good from the bad and the ugly has been a challenge. Once we're a few games into the season, we're going to be able to have a look at some data from the players' performances. We'll know how many tackles they've made during a game, how many mistakes have led to goals, what their pass completion percentage is, how many shots they're getting on target, and that will give us some metrics and some data so that we can choose who we're going to be picking. But for the moment, we've been relying on our coaching reports. Let me show you how it's been working by clicking on one of our players here. So using the good word of assistant manager Nom and our coaching staff, we get a rough outline about a player's strengths and weaknesses. So let's give you a little peek behind the curtain and you can see how I'm doing things. I've taken our entire squad, been through all of their coaching reports, jotted down all the key information, as well as made a note of which players have got any player traits. Spoiler, that's only one player, so we've set to work on that as well. We've also jotted down what their personality type is and where they are on the hierarchy of the club, and it's given us something to work with to help us pick a team for today. Don't get overly excited though. Some of the players that might look like they've got some pretty interesting areas to them, such as Av Belge here, who's got tackling and pace and loves big matches. Well, he's a centre-half and he's only 5'4", so we're having to get to work pretty quick retraining him as a central midfielder, because as a 5'4" centre-half, I'm not sure it's quite going to be what we're looking for. Now, until we get a couple of youth intakes through, we're going to be relying on this squad as the bulk of our first team for the next couple of seasons, maybe even 3 campaigns. So let's introduce you to who I think our starting 11 should be, and you can get to learn some of the players. In goal this season, it's going to be a very easy choice. It's going to be Giga Firmashek, because he is the only goalkeeper at the club. If anything happens to Giga, we're in a world of trouble because we're going to be playing a greyed-out goalkeeper this season. Fortunately, he's only 20 years old, so it looks like we should be able to have him for the next few years, but we need another backup goalkeeper to come through our next youth intake, and they could be getting some game time in their first season at the club. He's 6'1", he's pretty good at claiming high balls apparently, so Giga is going to be our keeper. We're going to be playing a back 4. We've got lots of choice at left back, including our captain and veteran, who is Albert Racic. He's also meant to be the best of a bad bunch when it comes to set plays. So come the first game of the season, he could be in our starting lineup. But given the coaching reports, I'm going to favour Ivan Makovic. We're going to see how he gets on today. If anybody wants to volunteer to keep an eye on our left back, Makovic is your man. Does he get forward? Does he give good delivery? Is he tracking back and tackling his man? Somebody get their eyes on this and let me know down in the comments. Over at right back, we're going to be playing Zidane, not Zinedine. Granted, it's Tim, but he could be another good player. He got an assist for us in our game against the under-19s. Again, don't get too excited. we don't have any under-19s, but we'll show you the goals from that in a moment. And young Timmy did get forward and supply a good assist. And then at centre-half, we're going to have two youngsters. I'm trying, where I can, to give as much game time to the young 20-somethings, because they're the players that we're going to be developing over the next couple of years. So our left-sided centre-half is going to be another Giga. This time it's Giga Datshaman. We'll see how he gets on today. A 20-year-old, 6'2", and alongside him there's going to be another who's relatively tender in age. A 19-year-old, another 6'2" centre-half. This is going to be Darko Mitrovic. The coaches have said some pretty decent things about him. Good in the air. He's got an impressive jumping reach. Could be a top division player in the future. He's just got quite poor technique and is very one-footed. We'll see how he gets on today. Further forward, I did say we're going to be trying to give as much game time as possible to our youngsters, and we're going to be doing that in central midfield, where Clement Kunstels is 40 years old. He's 6'2". From the bit of reading I've done on the internet, he seems like a bit of a club legend. He's the only player we have with any player traits. He likes to dictate the tempo. Originally, I was going to ask our central midfielder with the defend duty to just play short passes, but given that he likes to dictate the tempo, I've taken that off since the last episode. We're going to give him a little bit more license to spray balls around. The two players alongside him in midfield are a little younger, though. We've got Jaka Kaznic, 6'2", 20 years old. We're going to deploy him as a box-to-box midfielder. He also possesses a decent amount of pace. He's just not that consistent and doesn't have any great flair, hence why we've gone for the box-to-box role for him rather than the central midfield on attack, because that is going to be Tristan, I'm going to say Kiglar. He is our most creative midfielder, I think. He has the ability to spot a pass and create a chance, and has intelligence. He's also pretty quick, so he should be able to dash forward from central midfield. I think he could be a reasonable option, but the players that I'm most happy with, not just because of their performance against the under-19s, but because what the coaches are saying about them, is our front three. We might have three goodies. Over on the right wing, we're going to have Luka Gacic. He's 26 years old, a little bit more experience. He's also 6 foot tall, so he's going to be good at getting in on the back post. And the coaches have said some decent things about him. He thrives on the big matches. He's a consistent performer. He can cross a ball pretty well, has a fair amount of pace too. That's got a lot of things that I like in a winger. But over on the left, we might have potentially my favourite player so far. I'm basing that on one game against a team of greyed-out under-19s, but he was incredibly good. It's Simon Grigorin, 22 years old, and again, the coaches are quite gushing in their praise. Another very consistent performer with the potential to be a top-flight player in the future. He's also got the ability to dribble, which is why I've put him out wide. A fair amount of pace as well. But the player we're charging with getting the goals for us is going to be Christian Šípek. Now, I've no idea what his finishing is, composure, off-the-ball movement, technique. I've no idea whether he's going to make a good striker or not. He did take a chance nicely against the under-19s, and he can fill in as a winger if we decide the striking role is not for him. He's a bit more experienced at 27, should be decent in the air at 6 foot tall, and the coaches have got another couple of nice things to say about him as well. They say that he's a good player for this level, which is nice. They also praise his first touch and his strength. The only trouble is I think the bravery is a bit suspect because he doesn't get stuck into those tough challenges. So today, we're going to put this 11 out onto the pitch to take on a team that were promoted from this division last season and are one of the favourites for relegation in the division above, but they should be a stern test for our players. You are going to be the scouts and the data analyst, letting me know what you think of our players. Pick one of them now and keep your eyes peeled as we head into the game. But whilst the players complete their warm-up, let's just show you that fixture against the under-19s where we restricted our young counterparts to just one shot during the entire game. whilst we fired off 18 in a 3-0 win. Our centre-forward Šipek got the first goal after some good interplay between our wingers. Gajic managed to play a low ball across and Šipek fired home. Our second goal was scored by the left winger Gajic, and then our overlapping right back Timmy Zidane queued him up and Grigorin slotted past the keeper. And we scored our final goal late as we bought an on-loan striker off the bench who's got a bit of pace about him apparently, and he beat the keeper to the ball before scoring. And we're going to be starting the same 11 today as we take on Gorica. So here we go then, first game in charge. Team talks are a bit of a problem at the moment. We don't speak the language and the players are none too impressed by anything that we have to say to them. So let's see whether they can impress us rather than us impress them with their performances today. We're going to play on quite detailed highlights. Pick your man. Who is it that you think's going to be our star for the day? And report back to me on what you notice about their play. One of the big problems that we've got is that I can't see anybody's set-piece attributes, so that's been difficult. I didn't know who to pick as the corner takers or the free kick takers or even on the penalties, so I'm just going to leave the players to sort that out themselves. I'm hoping that we might have some success from set plays as Gajic comes forward early for us and fires an effort over the bar. Because of the early injury to Grigorin, we've made a change pretty early. We're going to move Šipek out to be a left winger. He is at least left-footed. I don't think from the early highlights he's the quickest, but I think he's pretty technical. And the man we've brought on to play in his place is a loan signing. It's Gaspar Cherny, who's only 18 years old and did come on during the first game and had a little bit of pace about him as the coaches report. So we'll see whether he gets on okay in this game. We'll confirm our changes and get out there for the next highlight. Okay, substitutions are all made and we're into our highlights. We've played another thumped, aimless ball forward and they've done the same. Can we win the header? We have Dachman. Both our centre-halves are meant to be good in the air. And there is the substitute. He's turned from about 25 yards out. And he's tested their keeper, maybe. This little loan signing is one to keep an eye on because that was a decent bit of play. We've won the ball back again. Looking reasonably compact in our shape. And we've gone long. Here is Šipek, now out as a left winger, having started the game up front. That's pretty intelligent play. And he's had a go. Wasn't the best finish in the world, but he worked the opening pretty well. We've got a couple of players that are starting to play well. Mitrovic at centre-back is looking pretty good. And the other player is Gajic, the right winger. He's impressed early on and has got an average rating of a 7. Here's Kaznic, who was a good ball through in that earlier highlight. And he's given the ball to Gajic. He's rampaging down the right. Rampaging might be over-marketing it a touch. But he's got a ball back to Kaznic and we're in. And we've scored against a top-flight side. And it's Tristan Kegler who's managed to get the goal. This is the central midfielder with the attack duty that's got forward into the box. And he's been set up by the box-to-box midfielder Kaznic, who didn't have a great game against the under-19s. And I actually subbed him in that match. But he's got a second start today. And he's got himself an assist. We might have to try and watch that a little bit. We're hunting them down in midfield. But they've managed to get past and Mitrovic has given away a penalty. He was the best performing of our centre-backs. But now he's given them the chance to equalise from the penalty spot. And we've still got 5 minutes to go till half-time. Our keeper goes the wrong way. They are back in the game. And it's tied at 1-1 going into the interval. Okay, couple of players to keep an eye on for this second half. Timmy Zidane is on a 6.6. Are we going to be looking elsewhere at right back? Dachman, our left-sided centre-half, is also on a 6.6. In fact, Makovic makes it 3 of our defenders who are all performing a little bit suspect. And we've also let our opponents in early with a ball over the top, and they should probably have scored a second. Let me know what was wrong with our defending there, because we need to make sure that we're keeping clean sheets at this level. A little bit further up the pitch, Christian Šipek is on a 6.4. Now, I know we should have been playing him as a striker, and he's had to move out wide early because of the injury to Grigorin, but we need to have our front players firing, and he's the worst performing of them so far. it looks like Gorica are starting to take control of this game a little bit, and we're chasing shadows. They're in, and they've had another real good sight of goal. I think we should be losing this game. On the hour mark, we're going to make our second change. Sheepek has not improved over on the left wing. It's not really where I wanted to play him. But we're going to make a little change. We're going to bring on another youngster. This is Nech Lovech. He's only 21 years old, and the coaches say that he's a very consistent performer as well. Another player with plenty of pace who can dribble, but he's got some more weaknesses to his game. Doesn't have that team ethic, and his strength and his fitness are both a little bit suspect. That's why I didn't give him the nod in the starting lineup, but he's got 30 minutes now to try and force his way into our plans. The match stats clearly show that Gorica are the dominant side in this game since the penalty, but we've got the ball with Kigler in midfield, and now we're looking to try and bring it forward. Here is Dachman. Some of our defenders have improved a little bit, and here's the substitute Levic. He does have a little bit of pace because he's raced onto it and then checked back, and unfortunately given the ball away. There's that lack of strength, I think. As he was tackled, he buckled a little bit, but we've got the ball back. Here he goes again. Try and run at him. He's meant to be a good dribbler. Instead, he sent the ball in field. And here is the young loan signing. And we have hit back. This time, it's the box-to-box midfielder, Jaka Kasnic. An assist for the first goal for Jaka. And now he's managed to get the second. Bit of a blockbuster as well. He wins his header. It's almost a 1-2 with the loan signing striker. And he has rifled that one into the corner of the net. As we enter the last 15 minutes of the game, as well as giving me reports on the players from the highlights you've seen, what have you made of our shape and our tactical approach? I feel, apart from the penalty, we gave up a couple of decent chances, and I'd like to try and stop opponents having such easy sights of goal. But going forward, well, we've at least managed to score twice, and they've both come from midfielders. So what do we make of our attacking play? As the game comes to an end, Gorica have got a corner in stoppage time. They've sent it in. I think little Timmy Zidane managed to get on the end of that one. He's then diving in the box. And Ronaldo Biggs, what a name that is, by the way. Ronaldo Biggs has scored for Gorica deep into stoppage time. It was a corner that Zidane heads back to them, and then they fire it across the box. They get a little bit lucky with a bit of a deflection, and Biggsy sends it home for the equaliser. So I think that was a good test against a team that won this division last season, but I've got 8 more friendlies to play offline, so everybody's going to get the chance to impress. Hopefully by the time I see you for our first game of the season, I'll have a better idea about who our strongest players are, but you can help me out by telling me who you thought was good in today's game and who you thought was disastrous down in the comments below. Whereas the Dobfather Part 1 was all about bringing you our tactic, and the Dobfather Part 2 has introduced you to our players, in the Dobfather Part 3, we're going to be having a look at all of the teams in our division and introducing you to who our big rivals might be. We'll see you next time for that episode in your new favourite FM23 series.